Looks like we have everybody.
I don't know if Mark's there because his camera wasn't on.
Okay, is everybody back? One, two, three, four, five, six. I'm missing somebody.
Mark's camera
There
wasn't
we
on.
go. There we go. I got Mark now. Okay, Dennis, we're back in session, and our next agenda item is Bethel Phase One improvements, and we continue discussions about the median treatments. And Dennis has been working with our engineering team to give you some cost approaches and some costs and some better renderings of what it could potentially look like. So go ahead, Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At our last regular meeting, we discussed the Bethel Phase 1, and we were having discussion on the median type of finished product. So I've got three options. We do have estimates. They are very similar, and I'll go through those as we jump to the next slide, please. So the first one, it also incorporates the bottom left, and I'll have another slide to talk about this, but that's gray slab there is for possibility of a public display of art, but it could be all stamped, or you could do those slabs, which is just basically a smooth finish of the concrete since it's already there. Total cost for a stamped concrete median is $163,790, and these are approximate. So if I go to the next slide, so the planted median, very similar in price, is $165,266. That is the trees, that is the ground cover that we've discussed. That would be similar to the Tremont road project that we did a few years back. And you can see the inset, if I'm going too fast, the bubble on the bottom left of the picture. So just kind of a top view is what you're looking at. So if we go to the next slide, so this would be the combination of the stamped concrete and then tree wells. A little bit, just a few $1,000s more, and this is because it is a combination of concrete and gated tree wells that would need to be installed. So that's $171,360. And if we go to the next slide, please. So we did explore the possibility of any kind of public art or display. We have about a 5-foot area that we could put something in within the curbs. The engineer did want to caution that decorative items, they would have to be small in nature. These are typically reserved for walkable areas. The reason for that is it's a distraction for drivers that don't see it clearly as they're driving. They try to pay attention to it. And also, it's something that can encourage people to go out to the median to try to see what it is. They did want to emphasize large pieces of artwork are more appropriate in the roundabout areas, and there's a wide range of options that you could do. If we did look at doing a wider median that could accommodate larger art pieces, typically those are reserved for boulevards, but if we did widen it out, it would be cost prohibitive because it would change our right-of-way scope of the project. It would add in hundreds of thousands of dollars to the project budget and a redesign of the road prism.
So because we need a wider median. And the first option Dennis laid out with the stamped concrete with no trees, we know isn't a viable option because we're required to have the trees for the canopy on there. So it's really a question of the two viable options. Are we going to build Tremont with 2 lanes? What largely looks like Tremont with trees down the middle, on the 2 sides with an evergreen type vegetation, or to have a slightly more expensive alternative, which is the stamped concrete and the tree wells in it, are really our 2 decision points that are viable. So Councilmember Rosapepe, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. My question would come down to basically what's the maintenance cost between the two. Obviously, because as Dennis pointed out, the distraction against any art in the middle at 35 miles an hour, that's crazy. But I am interested in the difference between the the combo and the trees, what we think the added cost is. And I realize this is just for one section, but what would be our maintenance cost per year if we had to make a
So
swag?
I can try to give you that and this is much shorter than Tremont. And we're currently spending 30 grand a year, Dennis, on Tremont. Approximately on Tremont and other areas of the city combined. So it's going to cost us, you're right, something to maintain that. Spitballing 20 grand, at some point when we build, as we add segments, and every time this contract comes up for renewal that we're contracting on this, we need to evaluate, does it make more sense to do this in-house or to continue to contract this out? Because at some point, we'll reach a tipping point where we can probably do this better on our own, but we're nowhere near that today. And it's to keep this looking nice, it won't be as much maintenance. We still got to pressure wash stamped concrete. I'm not really that fond of the stamped concrete island that the state's handed us at all. But not to say that it would look completely like that, because it's going to have tree wells in it in various places. So, Councilmember Warden.
Yeah, thank you. Just the maintenance alone, I think it makes a lot of sense. We are planning on installing this in the next couple of years, and we're in no position in the next couple of years to maintain this. I think stamped concrete and the trees, 170,000 out the door. I think our staff can maintain the tree section, and if we had stamped concrete, it doesn't have to be like this what the state installed. I'm sure there's more creative options than that you guys can consider. But with the irrigation costs, irrigation maintenance, the vegetation maintenance and replacement, I think it would be pretty smart for us to go with the tree canopy and the stamped concrete. That's all. Thanks.
Councilmember Morrissey.
Sorry. Just want to quickly just revise that. So we pay $34,696 annually just for the Tremont portion of the maintenance, as well as $32,440 for the various other areas that we're currently, at least that what we had extended back on April 9th for that. So just to answer your question there, Councilmember Rose Pepe, I'm all for the greenery. I think I've had conversations in the past around probably bringing all that in-house as we add more greenery. I like it to remain as congruent throughout the different corridors of the city as possible, and that little bit of difference in cost for the install, while I know that there will be additional costs for the long-term maintenance, I think we can do it. Ironically, today I will also say, coming home, I drive Tremont every day, and there was work along the side of the road with one truck going on Tremont today at had to be somewhere between 3:30 and 4 o'clock, because I had a finance committee meeting and was home by 4 o'clock. And so I'd like to challenge that we can bring that internally, because I think that we can, because I saw work going in the greenery space today. Thank you.
Councilmember Fenton.
Yes, this is the Bethel Phase 1. And so it's just the straight shot. I agree with lowest maintenance and cost, that we can handle, the lowest cost. Now, are we talking about the roundabout at all, or this is just the straight?
No, we're only this. We haven't gotten there yet. There'll be something more elaborate that happens in the two roundabouts than, whether it's trees, whether it's artwork, that's yet to be determined. We're just trying to resolve and give our engineering team some direction on what's this median going to look like, and whether it's, and we're really kind of down to two choices here, I believe, is the stamped concrete with trees, or or whether it's trees and a greenscape, which is similar to Tremont.
Right, yeah. Which is, I really liked how Dennis Ryan, when we met in person and we got to see the whole, map of it, and then we got to give our input. So this is a little harder sometimes on Zoom to really zone it down and understand from this section to this section, giving our input. But I'm basically, I want low maintenance because that's what we should be, going for.
Okay. Councilmember Diener?
So, I'm not in favor of just stamped concrete median. I think that's very uninspiring. I've seen lots of pictures when I've Googled median art designs that aren't anything that would draw somebody from the side of the road to go over and look at. It could be a wavy piece of steel or something that's pretty simple, but I was really hoping where we could see something that's different from our cities around us, something that people would remember when they are driving to or from Port Orchard as something they've never seen anywhere else. Some of the median treatments have been different paint schemes so that you can see use of bright colors and wavy designs just on the stamp median. But I think that presents a maintenance issue as well. If it comes down to stamped median or vegetated median, I'm going to support vegetated median because I think that looks better, more classy than just the stamped concrete.
Appreciate your perspective, and it's we're just being advised pretty strongly from our traffic engineers to stay away from artwork in the median on the segment or roadway, and that there's opportunities for that in the roundabouts, but they're
I know. It doesn't have to be vertical art. It could be, you could do something with stamped concrete, and that would be a little more thoughtful than just cookie cutter template.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm not hearing necessarily the support for that. So I'm in favor of vegetated median. And then when it comes to the roundabout, I really want to get in front of that and be involved in that early.
Okay. Councilmember Trenary?
Yeah, I like the consistency. I think Tremont is a very good example of our city coming off the freeway. The consistency of the greenery is my preferred choice. And I do think there's also something that we should all consider is stamped concrete, any kind of concrete in the Pacific Northwest also requires maintenance. And I do believe that the maintenance to keep this pressure washed and clean and looking sparkling clean so that it doesn't detract from our city is going to take more overall time than it will maintaining a greenery and the shrubbery that we have in that center section, which will cause us more traffic issues and concerns. Being this is not a 2-lane road, we're planning a single lane each direction road. I think the greenery is the way to go. There is overall less maintenance. It looks consistent with the rest of our city. Thank you.
To your point, about the maintenance too of it, and just like in Tremont, the first few years until that vegetation gets established, there's a lot of weeding that goes on, and if we don't stay on top of it early on, and we just got to be, if that's the direction we go, obviously we don't have the capacity to do it right now, and it doesn't make sense from financially, because right now we can do it cheaper with a contract. We just have to commit to, if we're going to have greenery there, to fund a maintenance contract. Otherwise it's going to look like, I think it's called, is it Highway 307 going into Bremerton? Looks like crap. I mean, that one time was beautiful, and we can, if we're going to make an investment in this, like we do at Tremont, we've got to make an investment in maintaining it and keeping it beautiful. And I haven't heard from Councilmember Chang. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm just most concerned about the canopy.
Well, it'll have the canopy in either one of these.
I'm neutral on
Concerned-
the others.
Concerned about it or concerned to have it?
That we have a tree canopy.
Okay.
And we will. But yeah,
I'd
it's not
like to
something.
add 2 cents to Councilmember Diener. I'm all for the decorative art as well. But I think I'm more in on the roundabouts there. When I thought about it more, I would hate to see an artist's work get dinged up because somebody ran over it or something happened like that, and maybe what emotional attachment they might have to that. So I'm all for and want to do some cool things in the roundabout section. Still, maybe would have those same issues, but at least they would minimize that impact a little more. And there's even a city out there doing something cool, like they grow grapes and make wine out of their roundabouts.
Yeah, it's cool too, but it has its own unique challenges. So, Councilmember Rose Pepe, you spoke on this, but you really didn't give us direction on which one. You asked questions, but not.
Well, another quick, not a question. I'm with the combo, but I'm open to either one. Mine is what can we maintain the best, what looks the best. I would just regarding signage and art, I would leave a lot of that to the engineers. One of the reasons we banned some type of signs was a concern was because of safety, roadway safety. And I don't think any of us here are traffic engineers, and I would leave that to them and focus on what we're supposed to do as a city council. So I hope that answers both questions.
You guys have me in an odd place right now. I have 3 of you speaking strongly for greenery. I got 2 of you speaking strongly for stamped concrete, and I got 2 of you. I'll go along with what the rest of you guys want. And we're 1 short or 2 short of
Greenery. I'm
okay.
going for greenery.
No, I like artwork.
Okay, well,
We don't have the votes, Heidi.
We can do it. Come on. You can do,
okay.
a
I believe there's a slim majority
Greenery.
for the greenery. So we'll be back talking about other aspects of this project, including the roundabouts and certain other things as they come up as we go from our 30% design to our 90% design. So,
And Mr. Mayor, I just want to add that I would like to look at opportunities to make us different and unique throughout the city in many different ways, not just how we treat our medians. And there's opportunities with creative sidewalks. They don't have to necessarily be straight sidewalks. They can be kind of curvy and nice. And I know that some of this is not feasible, but I think we just need to think about Port Orchard and how we can separate ourselves from others. We're at a turning point in history with downtown and Port Orchard's growth.
okay. All right. Point well taken. Dennis, do you get your marching orders?
Yeah, I had one more slide about next steps.
You do?
Yes, sir.
Man.
So I heard greenery for the design. I want to reassure everyone that our consultant knows how important this landscape and this road design is. This message is heard very clearly, the communication that we've had. So in the first meeting in September, I'm going to come back to this council. We are going to be looking for the final funding for our 100% design, enough to get us to our 100% design. That's going to give us our utility coordination plan. It's going to get us started in wrapping up our environmental permitting. The additional survey that we need to finalize the right-of-way, which is extremely important. We've identified 35 right-of-way acquisitions that need to be done as part of this project. So time is ticking, and we are eager to get started here. So in September, we're going to come to this council. It's a funding package of 1.5 million. It was anticipated, so I just wanted to prepare everyone for that and the needed steps to continue. And there will be opportunities to come back about creative touches to this project. The consultant's already thinking that direction too. So we want to be unique. So I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.
So Dennis, that
Thanks, Dennis.
contract for to get us to finish this design, is that coming to us in August or in September?
First meeting of September.
first meeting in September, you'll see a contract to advance this, and there'll be other touch points as we move this project along too. So, all right, we're moving on to item C, which is the Bay Street pedestrian pathway update. I'm going to ask that we remove this item at this time as we continue to work on permitting challenges, and we're going to bring this back to in September is our plan as we continue to work on that. We had our executive session. We have 2 items that were added. First of which, Councilmember Rosapepe, you wanted to discuss fireworks again. So what's your
I
make your
had
pitch.
okay. Well, I had numerous, well, for lack of better words, complaints from residents in the city, speaking, both sides of the city. And while we can't solve the county issue, I think that now would be a good time to go out with a survey and see if we wanted to move forward with any additional action after we actually do a survey. The last survey we did was, I believe, 2022. I think it would be a good time to go back out. I hate to use the term strike while the iron is hot, but it's in a lot of people's mind, and I'd like to get consensus to direct the mayor to put a survey out for a couple weeks on fireworks.
I'm up for that.
Okay, I've got 2 council. This it does take staff time. I'm willing to put the work in. I just don't want to put the work in and take valuable staff time if something isn't going to move forward. That there is a desire to truly look at this. And it's Councilmember Warden.
Yeah, I just don't see these surveys that have been coming back. It's like less than 2% of people responding. I don't think that's a good reflection of the city as a whole. I'm not a big fan of the surveys, but that's all.
Okay, Councilmember Diener.
I just was going to say, you have a survey that was put together. Maybe give, if this goes forward, members an opportunity to look that over and see if they'd make any changes that make sense. Eric, I share your concerns, but I think maybe we can just try and do a better job of advertising that survey is available. I think maybe, well, I'll just leave it at that. I think education is important, and maybe that's what's kind of lacking with people. I know that a lot of people learn a lot of things about fireworks when they dive into it and its effect, including Heidi on fish. So there's a lot to be learned if people want to take the time.
Councilmember Morrissey.
Yeah, I have a couple of things. One, I don't see Chief Brown on tonight.
Nope.
Do we know what level of citations were issued during this holiday season?
I don't.
We don't?
Sorry.
Okay. Before I would able to move forward, I'd want to make sure we're enforcing what we have on the books before I say that we'd spend any more staff time on it.
I doubt that, based on our staffing levels, that we it's not that we don't want to enforce. We just have to prioritize.
Yeah, and I think maybe it was a weird year this year, the way things fell. I didn't have any issues in our neighborhood. In fact, my AC's been broke this entire time, and so I didn't even have the ability to shut the windows. And so there was nothing going on past 11 in my neighborhood. Yeah, I think you could hear some in the faint distance, but nothing that would keep me up outside of hours. And then I think I could go further on besides that, but I'll just kind of leave it at that.
We did, obviously, there was a number of complaints that were emailed to us, and we did get calls. I will say this is the second time since I've been living downtown for 22 years now. Second time that the public display was not on the 4th. It is a vastly different
Huge
experience downtown, and I wish that could happen all the time. And I wish that Bridge Blast and Fathoms would partner and do a off 4th of July fabulous. Not that our display are fabulous. I think what we had for a display was one of our best. They're just short because they cost so doggone much money. And we could have a much better product, I think, if our two communities work together. And but it's two
I came
nonprofits.
down specifically for that, and I think I counted 3 on the 6th during that I heard any type of boom. We counted.
It wasn't significant on the 6th, that's for certain. All right, Councilmember Fenton.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about learning more about this and what our public wants, our constituents, but it's hard to enforce to ban the fireworks. And then also, I agree too, to have the big display after the 4th. I don't think we probably get as much debris down there or as much people doing their own fireworks down on the waterfront. So I think that would be something that would be really nice.
It's something we really don't control. We can advocate for, but it's not our event. So
I know.
Let's see here. Councilmember Warden.
Yeah, I was asked to just pass along from a couple council members from City of Paulsbo. They reached out and said that they're looking to take banning fireworks to a vote. They don't think they can get it on November, but it'll be on the following February, and they're going to put it to a public vote. So they told me to ask me if I would just pass it along. That's what a local city's doing. So,
okay. Councilmember Diener.
I think Jay was ahead of me.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Rosebuppy.
Just second bite of the apple, and then I'll be quiet on this one. Just a reminder that one of the reasons we don't get complaints through 911 is 911 specifically asks people not to call 911 about fireworks. So any data that we expect to get from the chief is going to be pretty much irrelevant at this point in time.
Councilmember Diener.
So, there's a lot of discussion about enforcement, and I don't feel like we got a thorough picture of what that would look like at our most recent work study with the deputy chief there. I think having Matt at the table specifically would be very helpful as to what an enforcement program looks like, what he believes the compliance levels would look like, emphasis patrols for 1 or 2 seasons, what have you. I think we need to invite him to the table to talk about enforcement, because I think we're each making presumptions about that, and we haven't been informed by the chief himself.
Okay. I have 2 council members advocating to do additional survey work. Is there anybody else wishing to see that happen? Not seeing that, I'm not going to engage our consultant to do that work then. We have one last agenda item added, and John, Councilmember Morrissey emailed you guys some information about World Cup and being a fan zone. I think the ask is accessing lodging tax dollars, and we can't do that directly, but you can have some discussion here and direct staff to submit an application for for that. And I think that's what John is here to ask us about and tell us how much.
Yeah, well, so just a little bit of background. Hopefully you all got to see the information that Brandy forwarded out for us. So thank you, Ms. Wallace. But I attended a meeting as the LTAC chair for the city. I also had some of the staff, in full disclosure. I am the board chair of the Greater Kitsap Chamber, and I had staff there as part of that as well. But 2026 FIFA World Cup is coming. We did advocacy while I was in Olympia with the city. I did it in every other subsequent visit that I did with the state for some of the funding that's going to come that way. You'll also see that they have a certain number of fan zones. We were also joined by Dylan, who is one of the 5 full-time employees they already have working for Seattle FIFA World Cup. right now. And you also saw the dates of these 6 matches that are going to be played in Seattle. And they do anticipate now with one of those matches guaranteed, the one on Juneteenth, to have a U.S. team here in Seattle, probably well over 1 million people stay. There will not be an available hotel room at a minimum of a 3-hour radius. Additionally, there's 7 additional matches going on in Vancouver. So the whole I-5 corridor is going to be jam-packed, and the biggest, quote, bang for your buck in the entire continent of North America is going to be right here in the Pacific Northwest. So the ask, the county, Commissioner Walters kind of put together this informal gathering to create an official Kitsap task force. And so she wanted to create that official task force. I am looking for kind of a head nod to know that we are okay with having representation on that task force. Other municipalities were at the table as well as the ask. The original ask was they have a plan for dollars for 2025, which we're going to be allocating here imminently. For LTAC was that each city provide $11,000 and the county make up the difference of their $85,000 project. I did kind of point out that I didn't know that my council would be in favor of 100% of that, and whether or not we could look at that being allocated based off of population. Bremerton's got a higher population, probably even with the ferry. Bremerton and Bainbridge are going to have a higher impact, or a benefit. Impact probably wasn't the right word. Benefit there. So we are going to kind of look at that, but we're kind of looking at a head nod to find out if we can ask the city to direct an ask from ourselves for those dollars. So some of that will go towards in its first year in 2025 towards marketing, and the other is to hire a part-time employee to oversee this and get us this fan zone. The employee that I spoke about who works for FIFA right now actually lives in Kingston. And said basically when asked the question, what is the likelihood, and he felt pretty confident that Kitsap should be able to get a fan zone. So I'll ask any questions.
So I think John's engaged in this, so I think it's logical that if we're going to participate in this, that he be our representative for the city. He seems to be very knowledgeable of the subject matter, and his role at the Bremerton Chamber kind of feeds into that. So, Jay, you have a question?
Yes, I did. Thanks, Mayor. Hey, John. So, or actually, this isn't for John. It's more for Brandy. If we're looking at LTAC dollars, and I'm fully supportive of this, I think there's going to be a great for the city. But my question is, would that have going through the normal LTAC process with the committee allocating the funds before we're able to approve them as a council? I don't believe we can approve it directly from the council.
That is correct.
It would be an application that's submitted to the committee. The committee would meet, provide a recommendation to the council, and then the council at that time would vote on whether they accept or deny the committee's recommendation or defer back to the committee for their further deliberation based on the council's direction. And
John, would that meet your timeline?
Yeah, so essentially what I'm asking for here is that, yes, can we ask the city, can we direct staff to make this ask on our behalf? So I'm looking for that head nod, and yes, if I can provide feedback back to the task force based off of what I'm gathering tonight.
So it would be up to $11,000, could be less if you're successful in arguing a population formula would drive our participation down, or the amount we're asked to contribute, but probably no worse than $11,000 then. So that's and Eric's got a question, and then I'll look for some thumbs up. Go ahead, Eric.
the fan zone, is that located, is that gonna be located in Bremerton or?
So the initial thought right now is possibly the fairgrounds. It's going to have to be a large space. They're actually going to do some watching of Olympic matches and do some testing to see what kind of receptivity we have in Kitsap and what kind of football fans we have on this side of the water.
Yeah, I feel kind of clueless, I'll be honest with you. And not about soccer, but about how many hotels do we have in the city of Port Orchard? I mean,
Just one that I know.
two.
Two.
We have two for
There's
sure.
three,
Yeah, three.
various grades.
So we have
Three
three.
hotels.
So I mean, are we investing 11 grand to put people in 3 hotels? I'm just asking. I do not know.
Okay, so this we're already going to have. I think historically last year was a little over $100,000 that we award already for that same reason.
Yeah.
Additionally, Airbnbs should be charged that, and so I know Councilmember Chang has brought that up. We talked a little bit about that at our task force about some cities maybe looking at getting a little more enforcement on that side. Additionally, there may be some additional asset this task force comes back into the authorization of tent camping in on private property, or maybe a short time period that they allow for a reduced fee to allow that. So they find this all over the world when they host these things that people will actually pay you to live in a tent on your yard for this time period.
I'm open for business.
You will have in that packet I sent out some of the tourism dollars that I think was real impactful. You know, the average in-state tourist spends $134 a day. The average out-of-state tourist spends $268 per day. The average tourist from another country spends $926 per person per day. There's a lot of opportunity to leave those dollars right here in our community.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're getting close to 9 o'clock, so let's Fred, do you have a comment? And I think John has support.
I am comfortable with this because I am comfortable that the LTAC committee would vet it, and they would if they weren't familiar with FIFA, they would certainly ask what the impact on Port Orchard would be, because I'm still a little, I don't understand what it would be. I'm guessing there's just a lot of people who want to stay in the Seattle area, and we believe they will come to Kitsap for lodging. Okay. I can't lower my hand. Okay, there it goes.
So Councilmember Trenary? Okay.
I'll make it short, Mayor. I'll make it short. I agree with this. I think this is a great idea. I do hope that Councilmember Morrissey will do his magic as he can to get that population-based cost a little more in control.
All right. So I'm hearing that Randy, you need to work on an application. John's going to give us some direction, hopefully with a price less than $11,000, and we'll pursue getting some LTAC dollars to support this. All right, let's get to anything for the good of the order. We got about 5 minutes here till we hit 9 o'clock. We wore you out.
Yep.
Okay. With that, our meeting is adjourned.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.